Hi everyone, I'm Nontobeko, also known as Mandisa, and today I'm going to be sharing tips on how to be the best job candidate. I want to help you stand out because I understand that, job hunting is one of the most stressful and enduring experiences. From being interviewed or nailing opportunities that have been local and abroad, I decided to think about what really made me stand out as a job candidate, and if I could share my insights and my experience, why not? When you are job hunting, most of the time you're really into stress because you are either really unhappy in your current job and you're like looking for greener pastures, or you are unemployed. It's not always the best circumstance to be in, but there's hope, Before you job hunt, what I always say is that it's very important to introspect and really reflect on, since your last hire, how much have you really invested in yourself? So how much continuous professional development have you undertaken in your career or since you graduated? Continuous professional development is basically ongoing learning. It means that you have dedicated time to make sure you keep up to date and you sharpen your knowledge. Most of the time, if you have a professional designation or you belong to a professional body or a member body, they expect you to do continuous professional development, and you have to sort of prove that within a course of a year you have been doing something to upgrade your learning and just keep up to date with the latest trends in your industry. So I think it's also good for you to just adopt that sentiment of making sure that you have demonstrated to your prospective employer that you really take your career seriously and you go through the extra mile in ensuring that you are always the best candidate or you're always the best professional that you can be ultimately. You have to obviously research the company that you wish to work for. What I always find it helpful is that I research the company ahead and I try to understand if there are challenges they are facing. So if there's a certain role that I would like, I see if I can't meet somebody in that company who is in that team. The reason why I do that is because I want to just have an informal chat and a feel for basically the job. And that really helps a lot to just start collecting information about the company you want to work for and the team that you'd like to join. Your informal chat really helps you to come to the interview prepared. Companies nowadays don't want just a new employee. If there's something that you can add a value, you have to also be clear of what you bring to the table, and the best way is to understand your prospective employer's challenges or problems, and obviously if you have the solutions, then it just makes that entry to their organization more seamless. So now that you've strategized your way into basically becoming the best candidate on just having a simple game plan, an informal chat with somebody from the company, from the team, just to suss out the opportunity and what you can bring to the table. Remember, you really want to wow your prospective employer come interview stage. But before we get there, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, you need a very impressive CV. You need to draft a very compelling CV, and by that you have to make sure that what your CV document, basically your experience, matches with what your prospective employer is looking for. So that's always a good start. If you have the experience and the learning and the qualifications, obviously that just puts you above the list when they are shortlisting. And what's a very important thing to do is that when you are drafting your CV is that you have to take care of making sure that it's cleanly formatted. So try not to have a busy document because it just gets tossed over into another pile. You have to make sure that the simple things like spelling errors and that the font is consistent. I know it's like a no-brainer, but it can happen. So when you are drafting your CV, always make sure that you also try and ask a friend, a very trusted friend, to review it with a fresh pair of eyes, because they'll be able to help you spot like any blind spot that you may not have been able to assess or to just find, because you've been working on this document for such a long time that it's hard to always sometimes pick up the mistakes. So if you give it to a trusted friend, they can offer you constructive feedback, and they can also spot out any mistakes that you have made. When you are compiling your CV, try to give quantitative information. And what I mean by that is that have numbers in your CV. So if you, for example, have managed a team of X amount of people, if you have looked after a portfolio that brings in X amount of millions per month, and if you had to look after a budget that is X amount. So if you have numbers, it just makes your impact a little bit bolder, and it just gives better context to your prospective employer, like in terms of the value that you play in your current role. Put perspective into some of the achievement or the responsibility that is entrusted on you, then please, by all means, do so. Try to make, obviously, your CV not longer than 2 pages. Keep it short and simple, concise, punchy. Let's just recap what we've learned so far. So far, continuous professional development. As a professional, you have to continually invest in yourself and in your skills. You have to keep up to date, and there's various ways you can do that. If you don't belong to a professional body, you can read, you can do courses, you can do webinars, you can volunteer on your time, to help others. You can do pro bono work. Basically, the opportunities of expanding your knowledge is like limitless. You just have to understand what would be a good fit for you. And then secondly, you have to understand your value proposition, like what do you bring into the table. You really have to be clear about your elevator pitch and what would really make you stand out to a prospective employer. And then thirdly, you have to have a compelling CV that is just, if somebody looks at it, they would be eager to want to meet you face to face, because that's what a CV is for. You want to encourage, or you want to obviously make the recruiter excited and want to see you. And that being said, I have to also just caution you that as much as you want to impress, it's very important that you are honest in your CV, because like anything in life, the content can be fact-checked. So you don't just want to take that risk of exaggerating your abilities or your responsibilities, and then somehow it backfires. So yeah, be creative, but don't be dishonest, basically. So now you have refined your CV. It's also important to polish your online profile, that is your LinkedIn, because you want that consistency. If somebody really likes your CV, then they may want to also look at your online presence just out of curiosity. Now, before the interview, it's very important to look and feel great. So invest in like an impeccable outfit, and if you're a lady, a comfortable pair of shoes. So I know it's tempting to get like a nice brand pair of shoes, but the reason why sometimes it's just important to have nice, comfortable heels is that you want to make sure that when you are being escorted from the reception area into the meeting room, that you walk gracefully and with confidence. And sometimes that's hard to do if you've just bought a new pair of shoes. Just invest in a nice, impeccable outfit. It could be a suit, it could be a nice dress, whatever that makes you feel comfortable and very confident. And then just do little checks like neat hair, fresh breath, nice makeup. If even like whether you like makeup or not, if you are a big fan of makeup, try to not make it too heavy. Also have minimal jewelry. Don't try to bling out all that you have. I'm sure there's other occasions for that. And obviously, you just never know. The sad thing is, because you are being interviewed by a human being, you don't know what prejudices they have. So If you like long nails with neon lime colors, then maybe save that until you get the job. Do Superman style. When you get the job, you're like, here I am, this is the real me. But until then, you just need to manage people's prejudices. Unfortunately, there are some people that may believe that just because you've got long claws or long nails that are yellow or lime, that makes you less competent to fulfill a role. Keep it simple and also be natural. I know nowadays with the COVID epidemic, most of the interviews happen online or remotely. So I would also suggest to you or impose to you that it's still as important to look good and to feel good, and if you've got perfume to still spray it on and all of that, because it just helps you to get into the mode. If for some reason you are visiting the employer's office, then also take the time when you are at their offices to arrive 10 to 15 minutes earlier, of course. Just suss out the vibe at reception, look at, just understand the environment and see if this is truly where you see yourself. That's what I used to enjoy sometimes when I'd go into interviews and I'd look at reception. I'd see how the receptionists, how professional they are, how motivated their staff look. Is this really a place that I see myself in? Is it really worth leaving my current employer to join this company? I also encourage employers out there to invest in a good receptionist, to invest in a good experience when somebody is coming through to your offices and taking the time out of their schedule to visit your offices. So now for the technical stuff. Okay, you need to obviously familiarize yourself before you go to the interview with what the job description is, and see if you have examples that can demonstrate that you would be great for this position. What I normally advise people is to use the STAR principle, which is, when you are able to give examples. It's very popular. It's situation, task, action, and results. So you have to demonstrate and give examples of, in your current role or your previous roles, of how you'd be able to basically do the job. And the other thing that really works well is when you do mock interviews. And mock interviews are really great. Just like you've had a friend who reviewed your CV, why not take the time to practice the interview? And that helps you from rambling on, especially if you are nervous, then you can ask a friend to help you. There are certain questions in interviews that are predictable. I have some examples of them that I've just put together. Tell me about yourself. What are your strengths and weaknesses? What is the reason you are leaving your current employer, your role? What basically is attracting you to this company that you want to work for? What are your career goals? Those you can rehearse. And what I've also done in the past, when I was applying to go overseas and I wanted this really great opportunity, and I really wanted to secure, and it was a really competitive application process. And because the interview was telephonically, I basically did my elevator pitch, I wrote it out, and I stuck it on the walls. So the questions that I predicted would be asked, and maybe I was also hoping, I had made posters of them, so that when I was speaking, I was standing and I was looking at my wall. But obviously I also made sure that it was a conversation. It wasn't like I was being a news reporter and just relating all this information that I had written down. When you write down your answers, it helps you to be concise and punchy and to the point about what you are trying to articulate. Also watch that, even the way you speak, you try and practice that. I know that not everybody is a good orator, but if you speak in the same tone, people will get tired and lose interest in what you are saying. So that's why it's important to change your pitch and your pace depending on what you want to basically highlight. That's what I really encourage you to do, is that get a trusted friend to do a mock interview and write down your answers, because it helps you to think and it helps you to really be concise about your responses, even when you are in a meeting room or in the interview with the panel. The other thing that was really helpful for me is that when I researched my companies, so before the interview, obviously it's always good if you know who will be interviewing you to go to their LinkedIn profile and of course download and PDF their career track record. I know it sounds a bit stalkerish, but I come from a background of research and I feel more at ease if I'm prepared and if I've done my homework. And because it's so important to build rapport with people, you have to have taken the time to learn a little bit more about who they are and what their story is, if it's available online. Sometimes it's not available, but if it is there, then obviously it works to your advantage. And remember, we're looking for opportunities that works to your advantage and helps you to stand out. I wanted to work for a certain company, and in order for me to be up to date with the developments of what was going on, I set up a Google alert. So anytime they were on the news, guess what? The article landed on my private inbox and I was able to just always be up to date with what was happening. Really take the opportunity to prepare for an interview, because most of the time your CV has been impressive enough to land you into the interview. So you just need to get yourself to the finish line, and with that needs preparation. When you go for an interview, bring copies of your CV. The number of copies are obviously according to the number of people you'll be seeing, if you know that information beforehand. And because I take pride in how I look, I also take pride in anything that represents me, like my CV. So I'll get quality paper and I'll get a very nice file to obviously file my CV in, and I just think it adds that professional touch. And in some occasions, I have had compliments for just going the extra mile. Like, I can be a little bit OCD, like I will match this file to the corporate colors of the company. So if it's like a company that has like a blue logo, if it has a black logo, I will get like a nice file and I'll get quality paper. And those things, those little things, really, to some people obviously it doesn't really matter, and to others they take note, because everything about you has just to scream professionalism, that you really respect yourself, you really respect the opportunity. I'm in that mindset that obviously I want to get the job, but even if I don't, I know that I've become memorable in the people that I've met. I've had opportunity where a no, you didn't get the job, was a not now. So that always helps when basically you didn't get the job, but somewhere down the line, you were so memorable that you received a call back. So now it's during the interview. So now you are either online or you're in a meeting. What I'd encourage you to do is really take the time to listen to the questions that the interviewer is posing to you. And if you don't understand it, don't be afraid to ask the interviewer to repeat the question. Just because also you've rehearsed some of the questions doesn't mean that you have to respond to questions that you have not been asked. So as tempting as that is, because you've now rehearsed all this, tell me about yourself and all of that, and you are just feeling so tempted to be like, I really rehearsed this and I want to show them like I can really, project myself and articulate myself so well. So here I am. But no, you have to make the interview feel like a conversation. And one way to do that, to obviously impress the person you're interviewing, is remember their name. It's like the most little thing that you can do, but it obviously has a major impact. And you have to build rapport with them. And because you've also looked at them, you've also reviewed their LinkedIn profile, guess what? You are in a better position now to ask an intelligent question. What I mean is that, yes, as much as you are being interviewed and people want to hear all about you, human nature has basically told us that people also enjoy talking about themselves. I posed my questions according to the people that I was meeting. So if I'm meeting a CEO, then I will ask strategic questions. And luckily for me, because I really enjoy preparing for opportunities, I will read the annual report. I will make sure that with each application, I don't do a one-size-fits-all. Even my CV is tailor-made to each application that I do. So I read, if it's a company that has an annual report, I will read the annual report. I will try to understand the challenges that they are facing and their long-term goals, so that when I'm speaking to a CEO or a very senior person within the organization, we can relate to each other on a strategic level. If I'm relating to my peers, sometimes you'll have companies that would want to see if you'd be able to fit in with the team. So your peers will also get to interview you. Then I'll ask role-based questions as well, and as well as departmental questions and the culture and all of that. So tailor-make your questions according to the person that you are meeting. Read the annual report. Understand from last year to this year, how have they done financially? What strides have they made recently? What makes them stand out from their competitors? Those sort of things. Sometimes, you have a really pleasant interview. Things are just flowing. You and the interviewer understand each other. There's few laughs here and there. And then other times, it's not like that. And don't be despondent if the interview gets unpleasant. Just don't take it personally. Remain calm, remain natural, remain collected. So, unfortunately, there are questionable characters in positions of leadership. It's not uncommon to go through a very sour interview and you just ask yourself, like, sure, who did I just meet and what was that all about? So I've had those interviews as well from also reputable companies. And what that has taught me as well is that don't base your individual interaction with one person in the company and say that entire company must be like that. There are unfortunately unpleasant people that also climb their way to the corporate ladder and are given positions of responsibility, and they do interview people. So the best thing is just to remain calm, just be yourself. What I've learned is that good companies also understand that as much as they are interviewing you, you are also interviewing them, because they don't know if you are the only company you've approached. So good companies treat prospective employees with respect and sincerity, and you see that through little things that are like the way how responsive they are to your emails. When you meet them, do they keep time? Do they apologize? Are they sincere? So do they really treat the people that they want them to join the company with respect and sincerity? So that's very important. So after the interview, first things first, you have to basically send a thank you email, and that's same day. Same day. So also be like really responsive about anything that you do in life. Like, don't procrastinate. And if you're feeling uncomfortable or uneasy with your writing skills, then you can Google any template by industry. So use CVs, thank you notes, follow-up emails, offer negotiation. The list is endless. If you don't get the job, what I would say is that not to take it personally. You have to fail fast. If there's a possibility that you can get feedback from the interviewer on why you didn't get the job, then by all means get that information so that you can prepare for future opportunities. But don't take things too personally, because I find that there are so many reasons that are no fault of your own that you perhaps did not get the job. So there may be a position freeze. There could be an internal appointment instead. There could be nepotism. The company could have decided to cancel the position and just made it seem like you didn't get the role. So that's why I always say don't take things too personally. Everything happens for a reason. If it's not meant to be, then better opportunities are waiting for you ahead, especially if you are a person that takes pride in who you are and what you do. Hopefully, you'll be rewarded with that. And obviously, if you do get the position, well done. And what I would say to that is that you need to exit gracefully. I know sometimes you are like so fed up with your company and you feel like you won in this battle. You are wanting to leave and you got to leave and you found your exit and you're leaving all these current colleagues behind to live in this mess that you are now have escaped from. But it's very important to exit gracefully because you don't want to burn bridges. And some industries are very small, and you know, rather just leave gracefully because you've won at the end of the day. If your intention was to leave, you've achieved that. So yeah, just leave gracefully. You find that if the way you leave sometimes really says a lot about you, like how have you closed off your assignments, how have you said goodbye to clients, how did you do the handover process. All those things speak to your character. And yeah, and I guess the last thing is you have to look forward into the next exciting chapter of your life. And yeah, that's all from me. And I hope you've enjoyed our conversation. I hope you've enjoyed my feedback and the insights that I have to share. So don't forget to give me your feedback. You can comment below, or yeah, just write to me in whichever way. Okay, bye.